Hey, Howard here at 82 Maple. The saga continues. We're getting this sweet little edger put together, and I know I'm going to love it when it's done. But there is just a lot of little mystery. It's like picking apart. A friend of mine always goes, it's like a murder mystery. Like, you gotta look around. It's not what it appears to be. And so part of the setup process is getting these two blades to an exact setting, so that as an operator I can come around this side of the edger, make an adjustment using this handle here, and have it measure up using this little device. It's sweet. It's manual. It's perfect, except it isn't. So if we lay a tape measure, sorry, I usually carry one right in my right pocket, and I don't. We've got as close to 6 inches there as you're going to get, and it's all the way up. Check and double check. And so this scale has an adjustable feature for calibration purposes. All sounds good. But if you look at this closely, and if I want to crank out an exact 6-inch piece, there's a little bit of a white hairline between the black mark and the 6. But this is only the beginning. So that's as far as I can move the scale to the left. That is 100% as far as I can move it to the right. So even if I was to accept that as 6 inches, as the equipment wears or adjustment is needed, I have no place to go. So what I have to do is pull that nut off, 17 millimeter, wrench around the back side, pop this linkage off, pop the scale off, and what it looks like on the other side of that, I have a clone piece should I choose to go to metric, and there's a little slot like that. So I have to, on the let me think about this, on the left-hand side of that slot, I have to drill another hole to just give myself some more room for adjustment. But I want you to just look at this scale with me for a minute. So this is not a North American scale. This was made in Europe. I've got 2 separate metric scales, centimeters and millimeters, that come with it. But if we line it up, I'm used to working in quarters, eighths, and sixteenths. Nowhere in my world is an inch divided into 10 equal pieces. But it is on this scale. So it's off to Amazon or something to find a scale that I can glue on here that actually relates to my world. Come on, guys, we can do better than this. Those little dots I have there denote about where 7 5/8 and 7 3/4 would sit. The 3/4 being kind of halfway in between those 2 little black lines below. I can't edge like that. Again, come on, guys. Hey, it's going to be a ton of fun. Seriously, not complaining, just sharing. As long as I've got 8 fingers, 2 thumbs, hey, I'm good to go. Enjoy the journey. Okay, so I'm kind of doing 2 things at once here, but you picked up on that already. So just back to our little in-feed table and putting this together. So I've just loosely mounted the brackets here. We've solved the issue of how we assemble this properly because of this little bushing here. And this little bushing is very cleverly designed. So it goes on there. So bolt goes through. Then we have the framework for the straight edge. Then this goes on. And then this little inset shoulder here is going to come and slip right inside of there on the mounting bracket. And again, cleverly designed because this is not intended to clamp tight. We need some give there so that this can pivot freely. Now just circling back to our engine. So I promised you I was going to show you what this looked like when it's all assembled with the proper little metal bracket down here so that this tightening bolt does not press up against a piece of cast housing down there. The same goes for the other side. Here's what I don't like about this design. This is the only mechanism right here for tightening or loosening the belts, along with its sister component on the other side. And what I would have preferred in here was an idler, a slightly different design, but with an idler that could be adjusted with the turn of the wrench, because the situation we have is we have 2 engine mounting bolts here, 2 on the other side. Anytime I want to change the tension in that belt, I have to undo all 4 engine mount bolts, move my adjustment bolt, and then retighten all of those engine bolts. Not a big deal, and hopefully because of the length of the belt, there's not going to be a lot of stretching in it. I suspect that's the case, but if you're not completely familiar with an idler, that's what we have over here that makes this design so clever. So we've got a nice little idler in here, a self-tensioning one to boot, and that's going to keep that chain assembly tight with a minimum of operator intervention. So back at it, and stay tuned. We're chugging along and making progress here on this sweet little Woodmizer EG100 edger. And so I'll just give you an update on how this all came together here. So the bracket for the straight edge mounted there. And then we have this bolt with the shoulder and the washer, again a machined washer in between there, you can see it, and then a washer and a nut on the outside, and we zip down to the far end and we wash, rinse, repeat. Bolt, machined washer in there, nut. Make sure that's a big washer on the outside because that's a big hole on that end of the bracket. But you can kind of see how that mounting went. It was a little bit challenging to tell from the manual. And then there's a couple of holes here, a couple of holes there. I chose to mount my wheel down here using these holes. These holes seemed a little tight to that bracket and it was bumping up against it. And I prefer to have that wheel a little closer to this end. So you remember I'd said there should be some set screws to go down. I'm back here to that's the clutch on the engine, and this is the pulley on the machine. And if you look closely right down in there, you'll see there's a hole for a set screw, but no set screws anywhere that I could find until I went to hook up my emergency stop button, and hanging here completely randomly in an unlabeled baggie is something that looks suspiciously like a pair of set screws for that pulley down there. Now, I had no idea anything was even in that baggie, so clearly I needed to have done a better job of just taking everything apart and laying it out. But hey, we're getting there. The good news being here at 82 Maple that still got 8 fingers and 2 thumbs. Onward. Hey, we're making progress. Here's where we're at right now. Got the feed table on, or the extended feed table. Sorted out a few other little odds and ends. I think we're ready to start it up and just let it warm up a little bit. See how that goes? I was impressed with the ease of making the adjustment on my little scale there. It wasn't lining up 100% perfectly. The scale is slotted underneath here, and so just a matter of loosening those bolts, sliding it over, it's right in position. So it's going to give me a good read on where I'm going. All the other odds and ends seem to come together fairly well. The only outstanding item is my emergency shutoff button. I'm not sure where it connects to or how, and there's a couple of pieces of wire here. One comes from this cover switch, so that if the cover on the edger is opened for any reason at all, intentional or unintentional, the edger will either not run or will shut down. So meaning we can't start it up with that cover open. That's a good thing. There's supposed to be, according to the manual, 2 of these little switches. One down on the outfeed section. It's supposed to go right here. That's where the switch would bolt to, and there's a nice little cover around it to keep it from getting damaged by a board that slides off over this side. And on this end, it's going to require a little bit of work, but there's supposed to be another switch, which I'm going to contact my dealer for, and it's supposed to mount there. That's not going to be at all helpful to me with my setup, meaning my sawmill is over there. I'm going to pile the boards to be edged here, not on these sawhorses. There's a whole little table assembly going in here. But where the switch would be helpful would be here. It would even be helpful had they drilled this side the same as they drilled the other side. So I'm going to have to get that extra switch, but I'm going to shut this off right now, and I'm going to reposition the camera, and we're going to start this thing up and make a little bit of noise. I'm going to give it its first run here, which I'll do at an idle speed. Really super set of controls on this little Kohler engine. I've got my choke here. I move it over here to run the engine, and then here's my throttle. So I'm going to start it up and just let it idle for a little bit, and that'll be the next sound you hear. Well, here we are, wrapping up this 4-part series. Thanks for hanging in. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching. I hope this has been really, really useful. So we're going to fire this up in a couple of minutes, and we're going to start cutting. I'm going to do 4 cuts. And don't worry, I've already warmed this little guy up. It's ready to go. I always try and warm it up 3 to 5 minutes before we jump into a cut. So we've got, we're going to use a 3/4 inch piece here. I want to keep this live edge, but I want to cut it down to 7.5 inches. So I've set this for 7.5 inches. We're going to do that cut. Then I've got another cut here where I want to get rid of some really ugly stuff along this side. This is about a 14-inch piece. We're going to trim it down to 12. And this is a 1 1/8 inch thickness. What I'm attempting to do here is give you a sense of how well the EG100 Woodmizer edger performs on a 3/4 inch cut. It's actually about a 1 1/8, give or take, a 1 1/2 inch piece, and finally, down under here somewhere, a 2-inch piece. And we're going to see a couple of little issues with the 2-inch piece, not to be deterred, but what you're going to see is this guide wheel down here at the end is a bit on the small side. If I'd been speccing this, I would have put a 10-inch wheel instead of what appears to be a 6-inch wheel. As a 2-inch piece of wood comes through, it literally stalls right in here. and you're going to see that happening. So without any further commentary, we're just going to fire this up. We're going to run these through. The first two pieces, I'm going to use the board fence. Then I'm going to step in and take the board fence out of the way for the next two pieces. So hopefully a representative sampling of what we do here with the Woodmizer EG100, and we'll wrap up at the end without a lot of commentary. Suffice it to say that despite any little issues that I've described during the series, hey, I love this edger. It has made my life so much easier, well worth every penny. Here we go. Well, there you have it. So this 2-inch piece didn't actually catch much on the roller, as meaning this blunt edge didn't bump up against the wheel there. If it had, you would have seen it stop, and you would have seen me have to give it a little extra nudge from the other end. But that's pushing it right to the max. There was 4 really terrific representative cuts, I think, and I hope that you like what you saw. It'll give you a little sense of what this edger is capable of, and here's to you and your journey. Subscribe below, stay tuned, much more to come.